Have you ever been confused or frustrated because sometimes you have back and neck pain, sometimes you don't, the next day you do, you feel like you haven't done anything to cause it, you've never had it before, or this certain pain, and yet now you do. But again, you feel like you haven't done anything different to cause it, or have you? Well, that's what we're going to dig into today on Back Talk with Dr. Ryan. I'm Dr. Ryan Wolfert, and my ultimate goal is to help you build a strong spine so you can live an active life forever without depending on drugs and doctors and surgeries and procedures, and ultimately be your own guarantee for your health and your life. So as we get started, just want to mention, if you have any questions, comments, go ahead and leave them in the chat. If you're watching this on a recording, definitely leave the comment below. But we're going to dig right into this because it's actually pretty simple why you feel the pain that you do. If you are in pain, I'm assuming if you're watching this, you have some type of back pain, because we're talking about hidden causes of back pain, which will include the neck in with that. I'll simplify it for you into three main stresses. Stress, not just mental stress, that's one of them, but there's accumulation of these three stresses that we put into and onto our body over and over and over again repeatedly. So we have physical stress, we have chemical stresses, and we have mental/emotional stresses. Now there's also, I would even say, a fourth type called spiritual stress as well, but we can include that even with the mental and emotional stress. So first, physical stresses. This is what I would say you probably think of. If you have pain, what did you do physically to cause it? If you have back pain, accidents, falls, traumatic events, car crashes, falling, even as a kid when you're learning how to walk and falling down, those are all physical types of stresses, more traumatic, more acute type. But there's also a chronic type stresses that we place on our body, or you might place on your body over and over again, that you're not completely sure about, or you don't equate that with the pain that you're feeling. For example, poor posture over and over again, looking at your phone, at your computer, sleeping on propped up pillows, driving in a hunched over position or shifted to the side. Maybe you are, sitting behind your desk too long, having a sedentary lifestyle, not getting up and allowing your spine, allowing your back, your body to move the way it's intended. Think about all the different postures that you get into strenuously. Maybe you're doing yard work. Maybe you've played sports before. A lot of times I hear, I must have done something or must have slept wrong. Sometimes that's the case, but I would say most of the time what you do during the day will set you up for what you feel the next day. So if you are putting a lot of physical stress by your postures, bending, lifting, sitting too much, squatting incorrectly, these chronic type, low-level chronic postures and stresses that are placed on your body, that you're placing on your body that maybe you don't even know that you're doing, not great for your spine. Number two, the chemical stresses, the nutrition, right? The dietary things. What type of foods are you eating? So if we're talking about chemical stresses, processed foods, ultra processed foods with dyes and toxins, tons of added sugar in there, not getting enough clean water, that is a chemical stress, right? Because you're not getting enough, so therefore that is a stress. We're talking about different drugs, whether over the counter or prescribed medications. These cause a stress inside your body because it's foreign to it. Many times it doesn't know how to process it, or it makes it work, your body work too hard to process it. Smoking, alcohol, soda pop. These are all chemical stresses that we place in our body. Pollution, different plastics you might be exposed to. So those are more chemical type things that are, again, going into your body. Your body can deal with a certain amount of stress without it causing pain. When it accumulates, that's when it creates a problem. So that leads us into even the third part, which, you're thinking, okay, how can mental and emotional stress cause back pain? I don't want to get even deep into the woods with that, but your body's like a reservoir for all the different emotions and thoughts that you have during the day or even in your life. So if you are constantly in a negative mindset, if you're frustrated, if you're worried, if you're fearful, anxious, sad or depressed, these are all emotions or even thoughts. You're thinking bad about yourself, or other people, comparing yourself to others. These all cause this mental and emotional stress, which can have definitely effect on your body, causing it to getting in these poor postures, but just in general, how it puts head trash in the brain that it has to deal with. And now you're wasting resources by dealing with those and thinking about those rather than healthy serving thoughts and emotions, which help build the body up. Where these mental and emotional stresses can come from, which probably have figured out all different aspects of life, your relationships, your home life, your work life, kids, grandkids, your health, finances, career. These are all sources of stress, which cause the thoughts and emotions and behaviors that we're taking that aren't for your body and spine. So go throughout your day and think, okay, what am I doing to my body physically? What am I doing to my body and spine chemically? Or how's that affecting my spine and my pain, my back, my neck, the chemicals that I'm putting into my body, the things that are man-made, not from nature. Emotionally, mentally, what are the things I'm thinking, feeling? What are those emotions and how those are affecting my inner being, my physical being? Because mental and emotional stress, here's a little secret, can cause physical pain. Think about, easy one is when you've been worried or fearful or anxious, or again, one of these non-serving emotions, and you might get a stomach ache. Your heart might race. You might get short of breath. You might even get, tightness in the upper part of your back. I've heard that before too. So that's just a little example of how your mental/emotional state has an effect on your physical body. It's not just the thing that you lifted yesterday. I lifted a couch yesterday. I slept wrong. It's the accumulation of that. And I'm going to share my screen because I want to show you what happens with this, because it's called the crooked man. Real simple, real quick. So that's the crooked man. You see how these stresses, physical, chemical, emotional stresses, causes imbalance in the body and especially the spine, and cause it to get all out of whack. So that's why we call it the crooked man. I'm showing you this, from the back, but this is also the most common one that you see is when looking at you from the side is that slumped posture, right? That's what we think when we think poor posture, poor spinal health is that. But there's also this part where you can be shifted to the side and bent to one side or the other. And that's what we call the crooked man. And it puts these distortions inside of the spine, and that stress causes the spine to get imbalanced, the joints to get imbalanced. Because even look at the knee, look at the hips, look at even the feet, puts pressure and irritation on the muscles, the ligaments, the tendons, the bones. And because the spine houses the nervous system, the spinal cord, and the brain has to get those signals through the spinal cord, uninterrupted, unimpeded, to every single cell, tissue, and organ through the spinal cord, which is inside the spine, protected by the spine. If the spine is not in the correct alignment, not the correct structure, well, now it's stress on that. And over time, that irritation on the nervous system, on the spine, on the muscles, bones, ligaments, discs will cause poor health and pain. Do we want to just keep masking the symptoms that it's caused by an imbalanced spine, or do we actually want to look at the actual causes? Do we want to look at the structure of your spine, the structural problems, because it should have a certain shape? There's a normal healthy blood pressure. There's normal hormone levels and normal blood sugar, and ideal for health and function. The spine is the same way, and it allows your body to function at its highest level, because then the brain, which controls all the function of the body, by sending communication, that energy, that electricity through the spinal cord to every single cell, tissue, and organ in your body. So if we just treat and mask symptoms, if we, instead of addressing the underlying issues, your nerves are going to still get irritated. Your body is not going to heal itself well, because health and healing comes from the nervous system. And then when your body's not healing and it's using resources just to survive where it is, because it's trying to deal with those physical, chemical, and emotional stresses, it's going to eventually wear down and it's going to break down. And that's when you start feeling the pain even more and more and more. It might not just be a little bit of tightness. It actually might be a blown out disc. Maybe it progresses to even migraines. Maybe Instead of just a little neck pain where you can still move your neck, now it's like completely locked up because it just keeps adding up, and you're not doing enough things to counteract that. You're not creating enough healing and balance in the spine in order to do that. Shortly, it's called the EAT method. If you want to have this breakdown, just a simple little, I did this one-page spinal hygiene mini class, just type in spine into the comments and I'll get that sent out to you, okay? Think about getting a cavity in your tooth. And I think many people have had a cavity in their tooth where they haven't felt it. It's been underlined because of the stress of the food that we're eating or not brushing our teeth, not doing our dental hygiene. Same thing with your teeth. You can get a cavity that starts. You don't feel it right away, but then if it gets bad enough, now you start to get the tooth pain because it irritates the nerve, irritates the gums, because your brain and body's like, you know what, I don't want to deal with this anymore. Let's say like heart disease or cancer. Let's stick with heart disease or a heart attack. Hopefully not you, but you know somebody who had a heart attack on Monday, but were they healthy and completely functioning at 100% on Sunday? And they were getting closed up to where 80 to 90% of it has to be occluded for it to actually have the heart attack. But that doesn't mean that you were completely healthy. And that doesn't mean, okay, I did something different on Sunday night that caused me to have a heart attack on Monday. No, it was the accumulation of the stresses that was placed on it. It's the same thing with the spine, same thing with pain. Cancer is another thing. It grows inside you for weeks, months, maybe even years, and maybe there's not even any symptoms or minimal symptoms until it gets bad enough. So these things can happen in our body because it's our body and our spine. It's built to handle a certain amount of stress until it gets bad enough. The old saying, it's a straw that broke the camel's back, to where all of a sudden now you woke up and you had pain. And we think, okay, it's how I slept. Well, that could have been the straw that broke the camel's back. You bent down very simply to pick something up off the floor. Nothing heavy, but just something like a pencil or your phone or whatever it is. And your back goes out. You look in the back seat or you look behind you while you're driving. All of a sudden, oh, your neck seizes up. Those are the straws that broke the camel's back. We want to have proactive measures even when we don't have pain, to make sure our spine and our back is nice and healthy, is in the most functional, optimal position structurally and how it functions as possible. And I mentioned it already, the EATN method, EATN, exercise, adjust, traction, nutrition. Exercise, we want general spinal exercises. Again, this is what that spinal hygiene mini class talks about. Like, again, very simply, something you can do for 2 minutes each day, just like you brush your teeth for 2 minutes, making sure you're moving your spine. Adjust. That doesn't mean like a chiropractic adjustment, because if I'm here and you're there, I can't physically adjust you. But what this means in this respect is adjust your lifestyle. How can you adjust how you bend, how you move, how you sit, how you hold your phone, how you are at the computer, sleep, these different type of postures. So again, that's why I included it in the spinal hygiene mini class. And there's no cost for this mini class. You just type in spine and I'll send it to you. The traction, that is something that's unique that not many people do or know about, but that is supportive type of traction or corrective type of traction that reshapes and remolds and remodels the spine into the actual position. And this is something that's greatly missed by 95% of the population, maybe even 99% of the population, because we have to hold the spine in a healthy position for a certain amount of time, over time, for it to reform in its new position. Very similar to how you put braces on teeth. Now, the definitive way to know what your spine looks like is through standing spinal x-rays. I highly encourage you to get those done. If you need help finding somebody, again, comment below and I will help you out with that, because it's that important. The N, that's the nutrition, right? Nutrition and even the hydration. So it deals with the chemicals that we put into our body. We want it, whole foods, vegetables, fruits. The way I love to do it is with smoothies. So that's one of my preferred ways of doing it, but I love salads as well, making sure we get enough protein, different types of vegetables, different types of fruits, cycling them through so we get a full array of the minerals, of the enzymes, of the vitamins of these. One of the most important things I implore you and patients, because it is the most common question I get asked, is why do I have pain? I hope I answered that for you. I hope you understand even a little bit more now how this can happen if or when you wake up with a new pain, a different pain, or something happens that you don't know how it happened. You're like, okay, don't just think back to the day before, but think back to the days, the weeks, and even the months. How are you taking care of your body? It's not a quick fix. It's not a pill or a potion or a surgery that's going to fix it, because it's the simple and consistent activities that we do on a daily basis that we do for our spine, for our body, that helps it to heal and take the stress off the nervous system so your body can actually heal. Your body is meant to heal. Just like if you cut your hand, it heals without you really having to do anything to it. If there's more stress placed on it, it might take longer, but your body can heal inside and out. It comes from there. So, like I said, type in spine, SPINE, in the comments or the chat, and I'll definitely get you that spinal hygiene mini class.